President, I would like to put it on record that I fully support the 715 billion pesos or more, the budget of DepEd for 2024. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. However, just like before during the committee hearing, I just had some few concerns, and those concerns weren't really answered because for the lack of time, and I was informed that I need to produce certain documents to justify some things that I did mention during that particular hearing. Ang concern ko lang po talaga, for the longest time...
May I just, before the gentleman proceeds, the Senate version is now 718.08
Okay,
billion.
718. Let's make it 719.
No, we have to be accurate on it.
Okay, sige. 700.
Billion.
Like I said, I don't have any problem whatsoever pagdating po sa budget ngayon for 2024 para sa DepEd. Wala po tayong question dyan. Regardless, kahit na po medyo kumulang, wala pa rin po akong problema.
Thank you.
Para maging klaro po tayo. Ang problema ko, ang issue ko lang po kasi, for so many years po, sa programa ko sa Wanted sa radyo, palagi po ako nakakatanggap ng reklamo mula sa mga magulang ng mga estudyante sa elementary at high school na karamihan sa kanila ay mga mag-aaral, mga magulang mag-aaral ng mga security guard, kasambahay, factory worker, na sila po ay naobliga mag-contribute na required ng eskwelahan through PTA para sa iba't ibang mga pangangailangan tulad ng electric fan, tulad ng jobos, tulad ng bond paper, tulad ng pambayad para sa sweldo ng security guard, sweldo ng janitor, para sa utility bills, etc., etc., etc. Na hindi po dapat dahil meron man po talaga budget ang DepEd dyan through the MOOE. Now, paano po nakukolekta itong perang ito? Para magkaroon po tayo ng idea lahat. Ang nangyari po ay dinadaan sa PTA, Parents Teachers Association. Now, pag-start po ng school year, nagpapatawag po ang PTA ng General Assembly. At pagdating po doon sa General Assembly, magbobotohan sila muna ng mga officers. Right after na magboto po yung officers, ang next agenda agad ay maghahanap sila ng proyekto, kailangan nila mag-identify ng proyekto para sa eskwelahan. At ano po yung mga proyektong yun? Yun po yung mga gastusin na akin pong binanggit. Okay. Now, I want to put a stop to it. I really do. As much as possible during my watch as a senator of the Republic. Pero, napagsabihan po ako noon na kung gusto ko pong baguhin yung polisiya ng pangolekta to PTA, gumawa po ako ng batas. Now, I don't have to. Dahil nakita ko na po, very clear na sa akin, na meron naman pala talagang batas. Kaya lang, yung batas na yun ay hindi na-implement. Republic Act 4206, noong 1965, na inakyan, which prohibits collection and even voluntary or otherwise from elementary schools sa public schools. Once that was mentioned was Red Cross. Now, noong 1969, RA 5546 was enacted para ma-amend yung 4206. Dito po sa 5546, mas lalo naging malawak po yung prohibition sa collection. Maybe the good sponsor might want to react doon po sa dalawang batas na aking pong nabanggit.
Thank you. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. No, here. Mr. President, the concern of the gentleman was raised during the hearing. And the Vice President Secretary of DepEd responded by mentioning Department Order Number 49 Series of 2022, which is a no-fee, no collection policy. Tama ba yan? No fee, no collection policy, which they are strictly implementing. And it was further discussed during that hearing that there is the PTA in almost every school that does their own fundraising efforts. And it being a parent-initiated organization, they are allowed to do that. So, in connection with the law that His Honor pointed out, that is exactly consistent with the department order of the department.
But the
which is a
department
no
order
colle-
cannot
if I may-
supersede.
if I may just
Right,
continue, Your Honor.
Okay.
So the department order has the very same policy. No fee, no collection. The department and all their subordinates, meaning the teachers, are not allowed to initiate or to tolerate these collection efforts. But this does not prevent the parents from having their own fundraising. This system has been practiced for decades. Ayan, finally lumakas. This system has been practiced for decades, and it has been a private initiative of the parents that has allowed many projects to see the light. No? Anything from gate, fencing, gardening, events. It's a PTA initiative, and I think that's why it was mentioned that if there is a desire to change that policy, there must be a law, because currently the DepEd order is consistent with the existing law mentioned by His Honor.
Okay, Mr. President, may I ask the good sponsor kung sabihin niya sa akin yung bang department order na yon at saan po doon sa dalawang batas na binanggit ko, RA 4206 and RA 5546, alin doon na nagsasabing pinapayagan na mangolekta ang mga eskwelahan o mga magulang para sa kontribusyon sa eskwelahan. Can you please show it to me?
His Honor, if I may paraphrase it to be sure that I respond accurately, is meron namang batas na nagbabawal na magkolekta ang PTA. Tama ho ba ang intindi ko sa tanong? Is that a correct understanding?
RA 5546, bawal po talaga ang contribution, collection sa mga estudyante whatsoever, whether yan ay voluntary or otherwise, except for Red Cross, Girl Scout, Boy Scout, and Barrio High School. Yun lang po talaga minention sa 5546. Wala nang iba pa. Kaya kung meron pong ginagawang collection other than those mentions, then that is against the law, against 5546, which is happening right now in so many public elementary high school. And marami pong lumabas na mga department order, and I can mention a few of them, na they're trying to circumvent the law para lamang matuloy yung gusto nila mangyari ng eskwelahan na kumolekta. Ang point ko lamang po dito, Mr. President, Your Honor, Madam, mag-implement na tayo ng policy. Meron tayong law, then dapat it's up to the executive para ma-implement itong law. Because the last time I was informed na gumawa ako ng batas para ma-implement na raw, mag-implement ng batas. Nagagawin ko, I don't have to because meron na palang dalawang batas, Your Honor.
Yes. Your Honor, Mr. President, His Honor is correct in his paraphrasing or delivering the provisions of RA 5546 kung saan ho, and I will just read it, no, para clear,
Yes,
maintindihan din ng mga kasamahan natin yung issue po na malapit po sa puso ng ating kasamahan. The Section 1 of RA 5546 states, the sale of tickets and or the collection of contributions in any form whatsoever by any person for any project or purpose, whether voluntary or otherwise, from school children, students and teachers of public and private schools, colleges and universities is hereby prohibited. Tama po, sir, no? Yan, Mr. President, yan po ang tinutukoy ng ating kasamahan. Tama po. Tama ho ba?
I agree.
Yes, okay. So, nung ako ho ay nakikipagdiskusyon sa DepEd, aware po sila dito na bawal talaga ang collections of contributions in any form from school children, students, and teachers. And that is why in their Department Order number 49 series of 2022, known as the Promotion of Professionalism in the Implementation and Delivery of Basic Education Programs and Services, prohibits DepEd officials and employees from seeking contribution, support, solicitation of any kind, or any kind of intervention from non-DepEd entities. It goes on to say, likewise, the department implements a no-fee collection policy wherein no fees shall be collected from learners in kindergarten up to grade 4, while fees on certain memberships may be collected from learners in grade 5 and above, strictly on a voluntary basis, i.e.g. Boys and Girl Scouts, Philippine National Red Cross, Parent-Teachers Associations. So ito po yata, sir, ang implementing order na hinahanap nyo, Mr. President. Is his honor, do I respond to his honor's question by pointing out this DepEd order number 49?
Thank you, Mr. President, Your Honor. Pero can a department order supersedes a Republic Act?
Mr. President, in my humble legal opinion, this department order is consistent with the law. But I am very open to hear His Honor's concerns kung meron dito sa department order na inconsistent. Kasi isa po ako sa naniniwala na hindi talaga dapat nagsusupersede ang
Correct.
isang department order. We are one with that. And
Thank you.
I let the record show that the minority floor leader is nodding his head because for more than a decade, magkakasama kami always reviewing this department orders. Hindi ho tayo
Okay.
nagtotolerate na nag-e-exist.
Exactly.
So, nagkakaisa po tayo dyan, Mr. President.
Pero dito po sa RA 5546, Mr. President, Your Honor, Madam, totally pinagbabawal ang any form of collections, voluntary or otherwise, except Red Cross, Girl Scout, Boy Scout, and then donors for the support of Barrio High School. And I have a definition of Barrio High School with me. Never did this RA mention about PTA.
Of programs and activities to promote child welfare. Mr. President, in response to His Honor's concern or conclusion that the Parent Teachers Association do not have the authority to collect. Tama ho, no, sir? Mr. President, that is the question, no? That the Parent Teacher Association, by definition here in PD 603, do not have the authority to collect. That is the question,
Let me
correct?
rephrase what I said. Mr. President, Your Honor, I want a clear definition in our law that states that the PTA is allowed to collect contributions, voluntary or otherwise. Saan po sa ating konstitusyon, saan po sa ating batas. Yun po gusto ko para maging malinaw po sa atin lahat.
Yes,
Dapat po
understood.
nandito, meron po ba? In fact, ang nakita ko lamang pong definition ng PTA, which is, sabi mo, very vague, general, is PD 603, pinakamalapit. However, dito sa PD 603, hindi po sinasabi na ang PTA ay binuo para mangolekta sa mga estudyante, ang mga eskwelahan. Mr. President, Your Honor, Madam.
So
Okay.
to be clear, just to be clear, Mr. President, importante po na maliwanag yung pagsagot ko sa napakamahalagang tanong ng ating kasamahan. Bawal talaga ang pagkolekta sa estudyante, and that is being honored by DepEd. In other words, hindi pwedeng maglabas ang DepEd, ang principal, ang teacher, kolekta sa estudyante. Wala ho silang collection sa estudyante. Ang meron, so that
I'm sorry,
so that we can
beg to
identify
disagree.
the issue.
I
No, the
beg
issue,
to disagree, ma'am. Ito po, lahat naman nagsumbong sa akin.
sir, the
These are
issue,
the
I don't
These
think,
are the list of parents na nagsumbong sa akin, iba't ibang eskwelahan sa buong Pilipinas, na kung saan sila po ay sa pilitang kinokolektahan ng mga electric fan at kung ano pang mga gamit sa eskwelahan, na meron man pong budget sa MOE ang DepEd for those things.
yes. Mr. President, first of all, may I request that that list is
Yes,
submitted
I'll be
so
more than
that
happy to
we
give it
can
to you.
give it to DepEd kasi I believe they have committed in the hearing pa lang na any violation po, iimbestigahan naman po nila. They made that commitment po. The only item left for the discussion on the floor right now is yung authority mismo ng PTA. So any direct contribution o collection sa estudyante, talaga hong iimbestigahan nila. So tama, ang pagkaintindi ko, Mr. President, sa issue is, so si PTA ba pwedeng mangolekta? And ang sinasabi po sa atin ng DepEd, the policy since 1969 has been to recognize the PTA's authority to decide among themselves. They have their own rules, they have their own guidelines to do their fundraising, that is a generic term that I'm using, among the parents. Hindi to sa bata, hindi apektado yung pagpasok ng bata, hindi apektado ang grade ng bata. Bakit ginagawa ng parents yun? Kasi kulang ang pondo. Yung sinabi ng ating kasamahan na nasa MOOE yan, meron yan pambili ng electric fan, idagdag ko na rin doon, ano yung mga kakulangan, di ba? Yung pagpaganda ng garden, driveway, entrance, kung ano pa man. Lahat naman po yan nilalagyan ng MOOE. Pero if I may call the attention of our chairman, talaga naman wala na tayo, nagbibigay tayo ng maraming pondo, but hindi talaga nakokompleto, no? In fact, ako na magsasabi, because baka may magtanong, yung mga repairs, no? Pagpalagay mo ng may electric fan dun sa loob ng classroom, o di kaya yung picture na pinakita ni Senator Bongo, medyo bumagsak yung kisame, lahat po yun falls under repairs of basic facilities. Pero natanggalan po yan ng pondo, na ilipat po sa ibang pondo yan, hindi ho ng Senado. So may mga issue pong ganyan. I think I want to assure our colleague that hanggat makakaya, sinusuportahan ng ating chairman yung ating recommendation to increase the MOOE. So that basic principle, I think everyone in the Senate supports his honor, na mapondohan sana ng lahat na yan. So, remaining na lang po yan kung ano ho, hanggang saan ang kakayahan ng PTA to among themselves decide to fundraise parent to parent. I cannot add to my answer kasi yan po ang policy. Hindi ko naman ho kayo bobolahin, Mr. President, na iba yung policy. Yan po ang policy na ginagamit po nila. So kung may recommendations, suggestions ang ating kasamahan, this representation is happy to relay at nandito naman ang DepEd para pakinggan ang mga suggestion ng ating kasamahan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, the good sponsor, Honorable Congresswoman Pia Cayetano, Senator Pia Cayetano, sorry. Thank you. Pero gusto ko lang pong balikan, Mr. President, Your Honor, yung sinabi mo, it's been a long time practice. Tama?
Policy po.
Policy, okay, sige. I stand corrected. It's been a long time policy na pinapractice sa DepEd for so many years. Na ilan sa atin hindi pa niya pinapanganak dito. Of course, ako pinanganak na ako dyan. Pero dapat, a policy should be dictated by the law. So is there a law na kung saan sinasang-ayunan ng policy na sinasabi nyo matagal ng pinapractice ng mga taga-DepEd? Dapat lahat ng mga bagay na ginagawa sa ating mga eskwelahan, lalo sa DepEd, na who's receiving lots and lots of budget by the billions, dapat nandoon nakasaad sa batas. Hindi pwede po silang gagawa-gawa ng sarili ng policy na wala po sa batas. Dapat lahat po ng polisiya nandoon po.
Mr. President, may I respond to that statement? Mr. President, as I said, no, kaya ho ako nag-abalang ipaliwanag na ang PD 603 is a very broad law intended to protect the rights of children. Kaya nga po, Child and Youth Welfare Code ang pangalan nito. And there is just one chapter on home and school, which is only 2 articles. So, dito po sa articles na to, at binasa ko naman on record, yung pag-create ho ng PTA, wala na hong detalye yon. The fact, Mr. President, that there is no prohibition, that there is no provision that specifically or expressly prohibits the PTA from engaging in certain acts to pursue their mandate.
Yes, there is.
Mr. President, if I may just continue. We do have yung dalawang RA na binanggit naman ng ating kasamahan. Meron nga hong RA na nagbabawal.
Yes.
But that is why I have been repeatedly explaining that since 1969, ang implementation ng ating DepEd dito, they believe that they have been implementing this in the true spirit of the law na nagsasabing bawal mangolekta sa bata. They cannot collect contributions from school children, students, and teachers. Yun ho ang specific wording of the law.
Exactly. Sige. Na talagang pinipilit yung kanilang mga estudyante magbigay sa contribution. Pag hindi ka nag-contribute, anong consequence? Hindi ka na maging paborito ng teacher. Ikaw ay pwedeng maiwan, ikaw ay mag-scrub ng sahig. Ikaw ang mag-erase ng mga nakasulat sa blackboard. Marami pa pagawa sa iyo. Pero kung ikaw nag-contribute, go home ka na, maganda pa ang grades mo. Yan po ang madalas na mangyari sa iba't ibang mga eskwelahan. At yan po documented. At yan po in-interview ko po lahat ng mga staff ko na may mga estudyante sa public school na nire-require po talaga sa PTA pa lamang, binoboto na agad kung ano yung mga pwedeng ma-contribute, ano pwedeng may ayos sa eskwelahan. Just imagine, Mr. President, Your Honor, every single year, kailangan mag-contribute ang mga estudyante para sa electric fan. Kung ipon-ipunin natin yung contribution sa electric fan every year, siguro baka marami ng warehouse ng electric fan dyan sa DepEd, kung saan magdinadala yung electric fan. My question also, Mr. President, Your Honor, di ba meron pong MOE para dyan sa electric fan na yan? Ba't kinakailangan pa pagbayarin yung mga estudyante sa electric fan, sa jobos, sa pintura, sa bond paper, maging sa, ito pa po, sweldo sa security guard, sweldo sa janitor, pati ba naman sa kuryente. And I understand, Mr. President, Your Honor, Madam, meron po tinatawag na Special Educational Fund, ang LGU. In fact, ang LGU nagbibigay din ng pera sa DepEd, Mr. President. Sana pupunta yung SEF. Now, my question is, maari siguro ang problema hindi nakakarating sa mga eskwelahan ang MOOE. Saan na pupunta yung MOOE? Kailangan siguro i-audit natin yung MOOE. Yan po ba ay nakakarating ng tama o baka naman nakakarating sa mga eskwelahan pero hanggang sa principal lang? Kaya may mga balita, si principal magaganda ang mga bahay, magaganda ang mga sasakyan, pero sila teacher, kawawa. So si teacher gagawa ng remedyo at yun na nga, maningil sa mga estudyante. Kaya nga po sabi pa nga ng mga nakakausap ko po doon sa mga listahan, I think we interviewed more than 100. Sabi, kaya nga po kami pumunta sa public school dahil wala po kami pambayad sa private school. Sila po ay mga tricycle driver, pedicab driver, labandera, kasambahay, factory worker, na mga underpaid, na maliliit lamang sweldo. Salamat nga sinabi ni Secretary Yusek Poa, and I commend you for saying that, yung programa nyo yan, na merong feeding program para hindi na po tumaas pa yung cases ng dropout para ma-entice yung mga magulang na papuntahin sa eskwela ng kanilang estudyante dahil meron ng pagkain. Gutom kasi sila, kaya hindi sila pumapasok, pero kung bigyan mo ng pagkain, papasok na sila. However, pagdating naman sa school, yung libreng pagkain, parang siningil mo lang dahil pagbabayarin mo para sa kung ano ng contribution.
Sir, ano po yung tanong nyo?
I'm just making a statement, Mr. President, Your Honor, kung ano po yung sentimiento ng mga pumunta sa akin, mga magulang, libo na po, sinasabi po sa akin. So what I'm saying is, we have to stop this wrong policy na kung saan nagbabiolate ng law ang kung ano-ano pong department order na ipinapalabas po ng DepEd para lamang pipilitin na makakolekta sa mga estudyante. Sabi pa nga ni Minority Leader Coco Pimentel, pag kinolekta mo estudyante, wala namang pera yung mga estudyante, parang sino kinukolektahan mo talaga? In essence, yung mga magulang. So, for me, change that policy, wag na tayo mangolekta, zero collection na talaga, voluntary or otherwise, tulad na nakalagay sa batas. Okay, except for Red Cross, Girl Scout, Boy Scout, and Barrio High School. Let's stick to what the law says. Stop na natin yan. Huwag na ho tayo magpalabas ng mga department order para we try to circumvent the law para makakolekta. Tuloy, ang duda nito mga magulang, baka siguro gusto nilang magpalabas ng kung ano-ano mga department order para makakolekta sapagkat gusto nilang yung MOE hindi na makarating sa mga eskwelahan. Because I know I'm right.
Mr. President, just a short response. The policy of DepEd is very clear. They have a no toleration policy on the collection from students. So, itong huling mga nabanggit ng ating kasamahan na yung mga estudyante, nagko-collect, paulit-ulit din na sinasabi sa akin ni Vice President, DepEd Secretary na no, they will not tolerate that and they commit to investigate that.
Thank you.
So, clear po tayo dyan.